Hi guys, my name is Samuel, this is Uzair, and this is Amjad, and we will be talking about our financial investments for Mr. Coventry and Mrs. Coventry.
Okay, personal finance. Personal finance is very important, and because of that, we are advising Mr. Coventry on his future financial decisions. These include financial planning, money management, managing expenditures, income protection, investment planning, and retirement and estate planning. The assumptions that we have are interest rates will remain steady, inflation is 2% for the foreseeable future, Mr. and Mrs. Coventry don't have no student debt, their salary is paid through the PAYE system, they both have good credit scores, and national insurance contributions, tax and personal allowances will remain the same, and Mrs. Coventry earns the same salary as Mr. Coventry.
Current accounts. We will be talking about current accounts and savings accounts, and quick advantage of current accounts is that it's quick and easy to access your money, manages payments such as salaries and expenses, and there's interest on balances. The disadvantage of current account is the rate of interest is very low, and there is a charge of service. So we decided for Mr. Coventry, before he gets married, to go with the TSB Classic Plus account. This will give him a 5% rate on balances up to £1,500. There is no monthly fee, and he must pay in £500 a month minimum. This will be protected. This is protected by the. Whoa, what happened there? This is protected by the FSCS. So after he gets married, we decided to go for the Santander 123 joint current account. This pays 1.5% AER on balances up to £20,000. It requires a £5 per month charge, offers cashback on any utilities or house bills. Again, you must pay £500 a month, and it is also protected by the SAFC. So now we'll be talking about the savings accounts. There are 4 different types of savings accounts that we looked into: easy access account, the cash ISAs, notice accounts, and regular savings accounts. So we'll be starting with the easy access account. This is literally in the name. It allows you to withdraw your money nice, quickly and easily. It's ideal for emergencies when you need your money quickly. Firms offer more than one way of accessing your savings. One way is through a card, with withdrawal card. Another method is over the counter, and the one more common way is to do it is over online banking. This is absolutely free of charge. Cash ISAs allows deposits of maximum of £20,000 per annum. It can generate tax-free interest. However, if you unforeseeably go over your interest, you're going to have to pay a very big tax amount, which can reduce your income by 20 to 40%. The notice accounts, this basically means it's the same as the easy one, but you have to give a very big notice to your lender or your provider before you withdraw any sort of money. Most cases is between 30 and 90 days. The regular savings account, this requires customers to deposit cash into the account every month without fail. Interest can be fixed or variable, it depends on the provider. This sort of account would not be recommended for any situations where there is an emergency and instant withdrawal is needed. Joint savings accounts we chose for Mr. and Mrs. Coventry. So the first one we chose was Charter Savings Bank Notice account. So this is the one where he has to give a notice to the lender before taking out any money. He pays out a 1.9 AER. He must give 95 days notice before any withdrawal. Minimum deposit is £5,000. Maximum deposit is £1 million. Interest is paid annually and is protected by the FSCS. The second one that we chose for Mr. and Mrs. Coventry was Marcus by Goldman Sachs. This pays a 1.5 AER. There's instant access, offers great liquidity, no fees or charges, no minimum monthly payment to deposit, and it was also protected by the FSCS. We chose these 2 different accounts for Mr. and Mrs. Coventry because one allows him to have easy access to his money, and one allows him not to have that much access to his money. This gives him a good balance between the 2, because for the Marcus by Goldman Sachs, he's got access for emergencies. However, with the Charter Savings Bank account, he's got a lot of money to save for the foreseeable future.
this is a timeline of the wedding savings. As stated in the objectives, we had to make sure that we saved up enough, around £10,000 for a wedding. So what we started to do was we opened a savings account with NatWest, where it was a 1.5% rate per year, compound interest rate, and we started saving £1,970.44, which around about led to £2,000 a year before the compound interest. Then we annually, every year we kept saving £1,970. Then it led to £4,060 in the second year. We created a budget in that year for £10,000, where we looked at each individual cost for the wedding, and we managed to save in the budget £659.06. And we also managed to accumulate a total which was higher than the £10,000, and we saved £427.46 in this timeline. Oh, great.
Hold on.
Let's start. Then we also looked at a timeline for the child savings from university, as was one of our objectives. We looked at the past uni fees. In 2012 it was £3,375, in 2016 it rose up to £9,000, and in 2019 it rose up to £9,250. We looked at those so that we could look at the projected uni fees, where in 2049 it will be £13,500, and the same for the next 2 years. We did that so that we could look at the total uni fees in that time period. We also looked at accommodation costs in 2019, which was £4,800. Then we looked at 2049, 2050 and 2051, which gave us 3 different figures. And when you add those up, as well as the projected uni fees, you get a total fees and accommodation of £67,108.76, which is what we ended up needing to save altogether. To do this, we split it into a child's monthly saver and a junior cash ISA. That's because the child monthly saver had a more competitive rate. However, it has a limit of £100 a month or £1,000 a month or £12,000 a year. And the interest rate on that is 4.5% per year plus 2% of the compounding rate every year up to £5,000, and after which it's 0.2%. You can only withdraw upon completion of this timeline, which is what we needed. We decided 18 years from when he was born till when the child is born until when he goes to uni, and we also put into the cash ISA what was left, which is £1,597.27 every year with a 3% rate, and that also has a withdrawal upon completion policy.
Okay, housing. So for housing, from the ages of 23 to 28, we decided that Mr. Coventry would rent a 3-bedroom house costing £995 per month. And out of the 3 bedrooms, he was living in one, and in the other 2, he subletted each one individually for £650 per month per room. The rent paid by the tenants covered the costs of the bills and rent for Mr. Coventry, so he was actually making a profit for a few of the years. And the house is situated 30-minute cycling distance away from his place of work. When he gets married and he turns 28, he decides to rent a 1-bed flat with his wife in William Garden City Centre for £695 per month, and it is within walking distance to his workplace. And then once he gets to the age of 35, he decides to purchase a home with Mrs. Coventry, and this is mostly due to his salary eligibility for his mortgage. It increased because his salary increased. Okay, to the next one. Buying a property. The things to consider when buying a property. There's a salary requirement, which I just spoke about. Lenders look at salary when they decide on whether to give you a mortgage or how much of a mortgage to give to a person. Normally, it's 4 times the amount someone gets paid in a salary is the amount that they are most likely to be able to take out as a mortgage. So for Mr. and Mrs. Coventry, when they turned 25, their joint income was £76,000 a year. So 76,000 times by 4 is 304,000. So that is the amount that they're eligible to take out for a loan. The next thing to consider is the deposit and loan to value ratio. So through the use of a lifetime ISA provided by Skipton Building Society, the Coventrys are entitled to a £14,000 contribution on top of their savings for a house. In total, the deposit equated to 71,544. So the loan to value ratio was 76%, which is fairly good. Like bad loan to value ratio is 100%, and a very good one's about 60%. So it's about in the middle. So yeah, the lower the LTV, the better the rate on interest for a mortgage. The credit ratings are used to assess the ability to pay back a mortgage. So for Mr. and Mrs. Coventry's case, we assume that they have average credit, and the type of mortgage is between fixed rate and a variable rate mortgage. So for fixed rate mortgage, you pay a fixed rate for a certain period of time and then revert to a variable rate. And for variable rate, it's variable the whole way, and it's based on just above the Bank of England's base rate. We opted to go for a fixed mortgage from Santander, offering 3.38% APRC, and the cost of the mortgage is £338,890. The fees that are payable when purchasing a home are surveyor fees, conveyancing fees, and land registry fees, which were £500, £750 and £90. And the location the property is situated is within cycling distance to Mr. and Mrs. Coventry's workplace, and is a close distance to schools and nurseries. Moving on.
Okay, we're going to look at the timeline which we used to decide when to buy a car, which is the best suitable time. So the first car we chose to buy was a Kia Picanto. We bought that in 2025. To be honest, the way we did this, the way we figured this out was comparing the prices, finding which one was the cheapest, and trying to secure. And in that, we found that purchasing the car was the cheapest way we could do it. And the way we could purchase a car at that time period was securing a loan to buy option. And we also, when we were looking at the car, we looked at calculating the running costs. So the running costs annually were £2,054 plus inflation for as long as we had the car. We kept that car for 10 years. We sold it at the end of the 10 years for its residual value. Then we chose another car, which was the Kia Optima. We compared the prices, and we found the cheapest way to get the car. So the cheapest way to get this car was to purchase the car with an upfront cost of £25,000. And every year we had a different running cost, but just for the running cost without the annual fees, it's £2,805.69 plus inflation. And we kept that car for another 10 years, and finally we decided to buy Mr. Coventry's dream car, the Jaguar XE. When we did that, we would again comparing the prices, finding the cheapest way. The cheapest way was actually to lease the car due to the residual value of Jaguars being very low after a couple of years. We calculated the running cost again for that one, and it was £29.85 plus inflation every year.
Okay, pension. So, Mr. Coventry received a new state pension, which was taken out of his annual salary. So it was a 5% contribution deductible from his annual salary. That is on top. On top of that is a 3% contribution from his employer plus a government contribution. So Mr. Coventry's state pension at the age of 60 will be £111,264. As you can see here, it's the graph. And for a private pension, we had to choose between a self-invested personal pension and a ISA. So first of all, a self-invested personal pension allows an individual to make their own investment decisions as well as offering tax benefits. So deposits into a SIPP are topped up by the government by 20%. This capital gains are tax-free, and contributions up to annual gross salary. For ISAs, they offer easy access to money on retirement. There are many types of ISAs on the market, and the typical returns of ISAs are between 1% and 2.5%. And interest gains are tax-free. However, contributions are capped at $20,000 per year. So this is a chart of the S&P's performance in the last 23 years. The S&P has grown 274%, so the annual growth is 11.93%. So because of this, and making comparison with the ISA, is clear that the S&P 500 and using a SIPP is much more profitable than using an ISA. So we advise Mr. Coventry to take out a SIPP and put all of his money into an S&P 500 fund. So Mr. Coventry would have 608,810 at the age of 60 after making 37 deposits of £1,018 from the age of 23. And for taking out their pension at the age of 60, they should take out 25% tax-free as a lump sum and leave the rest in the SIPP, where they would only need to withdraw when they need money, but they would have to pay income tax on that amount. But this will probably be offset by the growth of the SIPP. So it's all good.
Life insurance. So within the UK, there are roughly around 11.1 million households that have mortgages, and roughly only 50% of them have taken out a life insurance policy. This could be a burden of over £200,000 on a sole earner who has to raise the child on their own. Average funeral costs in 2019 are about £4,271, which is double than what it was from the records we have in 2004. The average food bill per household is roughly £2,700 per annum. The average total household bills is just under 20 grand annually, 19,500. So therefore, it can easily be said, it's very clear for Mr. Coventry, he should adopt a life insurance policy for himself and his wife, because life is very unpredictable, and negligence to an insurance, and it can cause major issues if something inevitable was to happen to either of them. The policy we believe that Mr. Coventry should adopt will cover him and his wife for up to £600,000 each, as well as a critical illness cover of up to £60,000, and this will cost them a total of £51.90 per month. Next. Financial products. So now we'll be talking about all the different financial products that we advise Mr. Coventry to invest in. I will be starting off by talking about gold. Gold is seen by many as the most stable investment, hence we feel that it should be firstly planned to invest in gold. However, assuming a similar growth pattern in the last 10 years, we believe that because of that, we believe that this investment will be very profitable for Mr. Coventry. In fact, from investing in gold at the times for our plans with Mr. Coventry, he will be continuously investing in gold from the start of this time now throughout the years to the end. Mr. Coventry will invest in gold amounts varying from 2 ounces to about 30 ounces, and he will invest in a variety of different financial products. The pie chart is there, so it's 10% gold, 61% stocks, 8% property, and 21% bonds. We will be carrying on now with the rest.
So I looked at the financial products and stocks. We decided to invest at 3 different time periods, at 3 different financial periods. Once at £50,000, was at £70,000, and was at £250,000. In each time we felt like we could make a profit given the amount of research we did based on our 6-week timelines. Yeah, and to be honest, we decided to do this because Mr. Coventry we feel like should invest in a high risk, high return type policy, and we felt like stocks was the best one that we could do, despite even the higher risk. And then we also looked at financial products of the property in Spain. We decided to invest in a property abroad because we felt like the entry level for property investing in properties here is very high, and given that we're already paying off a mortgage of £240,000 ish, we decided to invest in a property abroad. We decided to invest in a property in Spain, which is a highly touristy country. And we decided to invest in a 2-bedroom flat which has 1 bathroom, 1 kitchen, and the property is situated in a complex with many amenities like a pool, golf course, and gym, and at a price of £49,665 with an annual rent of £8,141.52 plus inflation. Within around 8 to 9 years, we'll be able to make our money back without feeling too much pressure. We also looked at bonds. The National Savings and Investment, or NSNI, is a government scheme backed by Her Majesty's Treasury, and that provides many various different types of investment, guaranteed income bonds, junior ISA, guaranteed growth bonds, income bonds, direct ISAs, direct savers, and investment accounts. We believe that Mr. Coventry should invest in guaranteed growth bonds, as they're highly cost efficient. They guarantee a certain amount of money at the end of the time period, and it has a decent percentage yield. And with the NSNI, the money is insured up to £85,000 by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, and up to, for 2 people, it's insured up to £170,000. Finally, we also looked at why didn't we choose certain other financial products like exchange traded funds, buying a property from the UK, and also investment into oil. Well, firstly, with the exchange traded funds, we felt like it's very similar to the index mutual funds. However, the prices change a lot throughout the day, the costs are higher, and also the yield is lower. In addition to that, purchasing a property from the UK, we don't feel like it was financially viable, as said before, because of the high entry level, and we're also already paying off a mortgage in the UK. And finally, the investment into oil, which is a highly volatile market, and we felt like the demand is going to eventually drop, even though demand is high right now because the product is scarce. But we think due to like electric cars and renewable resources of energy, we feel like oil will be a much less demanded resource in the future.
Okay, so to conclude, Mr. Coventry would retire at the age of 60, and we done our forecast cash flow until the age of 65, and by this time he accumulated over £1 million. So we believe Mr. Coventry should start to spread his assets amongst his family after the age of retirement, so to alleviate inheritance tax pressures. And also throughout all the years that have been specified within this financial plan, Mr. Coventry should invest a higher proportion of his income into stocks, as they have a higher risk and a higher return. This is due to the fact that a higher proportion of Mr. Coventry's income is protected through financial schemes, financial protection schemes. And
that is all. Thank you very much.